Hello ladies and gentlemen, here I'm gonna show you the look I filmed on Valentine's Day for date night, way before this whole pandemic thing officially began. Now the first step I'm doing here is I'm using my Essence Mattifying Primer and I'm rubbing it into my face like a moisturizer. Next I'm using a little bit of this The Body Shop Matte Clay Foundation and I'm working it onto my face with my damp beauty blender. Usually I would just dot the foundation on, but recently I've been applying it with the beauty blender, and this way you don't apply too much and it spreads a lot more evenly. So I really enjoy doing it like this and would recommend it if you haven't tried it yet. For concealer, I'm using this ColourPop concealer, which I am running out of, and I'm applying it underneath my eyes, between my brows, around my mouth, and on my eyelids as a primer. Now every time I blend out my concealer, number one, I use my damp beauty blender. Number two, I start around my mouth because I fear those lines staying there. So I do them first, then I do between my eyebrows, and then I go in and spend my time around my eyes to make sure I really brighten up the middle portion of my face. I also don't want there to be any creases when I set my face, because next I'm going in with this translucent powder, and I'm first going to apply it underneath my eyes to make sure I don't get any creases there, and then continue to buff it out all over my face. To contour my face, I'm using this face brush and I'm picking up a dark brown color from my Kat Von D palette and applying it in the hollows of my cheeks, on my forehead and underneath my chin. And I'm using this brush because the dogs chowed my one and only contour brush and I don't have a new one yet, but hey, this brush worked on my face, but it wasn't going to work on my nose, so I grabbed for a thinner brush to apply the color on the bridge of my nose and to carefully blend it out. Moving on to my brows, I am first going to take a spoolie and brush them out to lay them in the position I want them, which really highlights how badly I need to get them done. But after that, I'm going to fill them in with an Essence brow powder and shape them the way I want them to be. To do that, I use an eyeliner brush and follow the shape I already have, and then once I'm done with that, I brush it out with a spoolie again to kind of make it all uniform. For blush, I'm using this blush by Essence and I'm using this blush brush from Wet n Wild and I'm dusting some onto my cheeks to give me a rosy look. For highlight, I'm using this rose gold highlight from my Carly Bible palette. I'm using a pencil brush to apply it on my cupid's bow, on the bridge and the tip of my nose, underneath my brows because I enjoy my highlighter there, and I'm going to use a little bit on my fingers to put it on my cheekbones. Then I rub over everything to tone it down a bit. Now to set that powder and make it all look like skin again, I'm using my Smashbox setting spray and spraying it all over my face. After that had a second to dry, I'm going in with my Soft Glam palette from ABH and I'm picking up a dark brown color and a really small yet still a little bit fluffy brush and working it into the outer V of my eye. Today I decided to really shape out the cat eye I want, so after that fluffy brush I went in with a flat shader brush which is more defined and really shaped out that outer V into the shape I wanted it to be. I kind of followed where my eyeliner was gonna go and then took the line up into my crease and then also applied a little bit on my upper lash line where my eyeliner is going to drag in and on my lower lash line. Next I went in with a lighter brown and again that fluffy brush from earlier, and I'm using that to scratch at the edges of the dark brown to start blending that out and to drag the color a little bit into my crease. This way I don't have any defined lines and I can start fading the color into my crease. I'm also going to take the same color and I'm going to do it on my lower lash line as well to make sure I don't have a sharp line at the bottom either. But because I'm using a small blending brush, it's not going to diffuse it too much and I'm still going to have that distinct shape. I really wanted to do a chatty get ready with me video for this, but we had a guest over and I didn't want to bother them by talking and have them listen to me, so I decided on this format instead. That aside, I went in with an even lighter, a little bit more orange color and used it to blend out even more, going above where I just applied the light brown and dragging it further into my crease and also further in on my lower lash line to kind of edge it in all the way. This way I have a nice transition from dark brown to medium brown to this light orangey brown color. I then picked up a bit more of that same color on a flat shader brush and applied it on my lid because I didn't want my lid to be that nude and I'd yet to decide what other colors I was going to place there, so I went with this to begin with. I went back in with that dark brown and dragged it deeper in on my upper lash line to kind of create that fade that's going to go from my eyeliner to the brown shadow to the lighter shadows, and then touched up the outer part a bit more. I then picked up this copper shimmer from my Born to Run palette and applied it on my lid because I wanted that part to have a bit of shimmer to it. And to apply a color like this properly, you unfortunately have to use your finger. So I used my middle finger, which was clean, and used it to press the color onto my lid. However, I didn't find it enough and I wanted to double up on color. So I used another shimmer copper I have from my Carly Bible palette and applied it over that as well. It made the color a little richer and added a little bit of a pink hint. Of course, I had to use my finger again to apply it properly. I then went in with the same rose gold highlighter as earlier and applied it in the inner corner of my eyes, blending it into the shimmer already on my lid so it faded from the highlight to the copper color to the dark browns in my outer V. Finally, it is time for eyeliner. I'm using this liquid eyeliner by Essence and I'm carefully drawing a wing. I'm drawing a thin line on my upper lash line, dragging it into the inner corner of my eye, and then drawing a thin, pretty much medium length wing. I was going for a more classy vibe. And I quite like the look of a thin line on the upper lash line. Moving on to my lashes, I gave my liner a minute to dry so I don't smudge it with a lash curler, and then curled my lashes before applying mascara. I'm using this Get Big Lashes Volume and Curl Mascara from Essence and loading up on it because I don't have false lashes to put on tonight and I want my lashes to pop. I then also made sure to put a bit on my lower lashes as well, and to add a bit more volume, I decided to tightline. It colors in the gap right underneath your lashes that makes them look a little bit more dense. And then a little bit in the outer corner of my lower lash line to just tie that wing in with the rest of the look. For lipstick, I used this NYX Lingerie liquid lipstick that was going to dry matte and applied it all over my lips as one does with lipstick. I then gave it a minute or so to dry before going in with this Essence lipstick. It's the number 3, the color doesn't really have a name, but it smells real good and it creates a wonderful ombre. However, I wasn't happy with this color entirely, so I went in with this Luxe Sheer lipstick. It has a bit of an orangey pink hint to it, but with all the pink underneath it, it ended up being a little bit too pink. So again, I wasn't happy with the color. I wanted something more orangey. So even though the neighbor was back, I was like, I ain't ready yet. So I applied a bit more of this Fleer lipstick on top, and then finally decided to call it a day because I still had to go to campus before date night, and then I sprayed my setting spray. This is the final result. I pretty much just played around a bit today and tried some oranges because I'm going to be wearing an orange dress today. But then thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again next time. Bye!
Well, the good news is I feel cute. The bad news is I have a lab after this, so I'm going to wear goggles that are going to like mess up.
However, I wasn't happy with this color entirely, so I went in with this Luxe Sheer lipstick. It